It is the start of things. Yep, the Chiefs get ready to start their 66th year of the franchise, but they're going to do so in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and taking on the Chargers. So it's off and running. And are defending the kingdom, Começo.
That was perfect. You nailed it.
Começo. Been working on my German, but not my Portuguese. Of course, this episode, like them all, brought to you by Ticketmaster. Holthus keeps it on an RPO at the 5, gets a lead block. He goes into the end zone near side. Touchdown, Kansas City. Hi, everybody. I'm Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, along with senior team reporter Matt McMullen. This episode will be called Começo, which I think, I'm butchered that I know, Portuguese for the beginning. So, and we got these cool shirts.
Yeah, we do. And it makes sense to wear these today because when else are we going to wear them? Also, Começo, we learned that about 20 seconds ago. So give us some leeway there. I think it's right.
Yes, and I've done, you and I, extensive research in Portuguese, and we've studied ever since we found out we were going to Sao Paulo that we were going to get it down. Where's Cairo Santos when you need him? Always with the Bears. Come on, man. Come join us just for a week. But anyway, here we are. A chance to open the season and open it up in the AFC West and to play the Chargers. And so it's here. I was thinking, though, how – and I'm going to spoil my you know how I start with a monologue on the radio broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
And I take some pride in those. Sometimes it's science, sometimes it's cartoons, sometimes it's all kinds of different genre.
Which you write those the morning of, right?
Morning of. You have to wait till the morning of. And you can't.
You all listening should see it. Like, it's incredible. Like, it's like this much text. It's like a block of text, and it's so close together and so small, but you're able to process it. It's amazing.
Anthropologists will find them 500 years going, what was this guy about? I don't know. It seems like kind of a crazy culture, but yes, kind of hieroglyphics, if you will.
I love it.
But it's the beginning of things, but how the international games that the Chiefs have had have been the beginning of things. Think about this. When you go back to 2015, horrible start to the season, the Chiefs had rallied back and to get to 3-5, and I remember beating Pittsburgh without Ben Roethlisberger at home, and we were getting ready to go to play the Lions in London. That set off a string of 10 straight wins, and the first playoff victory for the franchise in 21 years. I'm glad they showed it on the Kingdom and the docuseries. But then you go ahead to 2019, and you and I have talked about the Mexico City game against these Chargers. The Chiefs were we were suffering here a little bit.
I think we were 6-4 at that point.
6-4. Pat had missed, the end of October. We'd lost 3 straight home games, won against the Chargers in Mexico City, and never lost again.
Yeah.
Now, 23 wasn't quite that, but the win in Germany was profound in beating Miami, a precursor to beating them again in the playoffs, but all the way to the Super Bowl. So these international games, the Chiefs 3-0, have been the start of things, and now this is the start of the season in Brazil against the Chargers.
And I have some fun notes on the international stuff. So the Chiefs, when they kick this game off, will become the first team in NFL history to play 4 regular season games in 4 different countries outside of the United States. You laid them out: UK, Mexico, Germany, now Brazil. No other team has played in 4 different countries a regular season game outside of the U.S. And if we can win this game, we'll match the Vikings for the most international regular season wins of any team without a loss. So pretty cool stuff. That also does not include the games in Japan, which I believe you were here for.
I was here for 2 of them.
In 94 and 98, right?
Mm-hmm. In Tokyo. And against the Vikings and the Packers, respectively. And then there was a game in Mexico, in Monterrey, Mexico, and that was against the Cowboys, interspersed in between those trips to Japan.
What were the Japan trips like? That's
awesome.
So cool.
They were incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, they were awesome. Of all of our international trips, I'm going to get in trouble here because Germany was the best.
Germany was amazing.
That was number 1. I don't want to go back so badly. It's home country. But the Japanese people are incredible, so hospitable, and so resourceful and clean, and it's generally safe in that country. They just kind of have it figured out. And the Japanese people, I would go back there in a second. I hope one of these Chiefs international games would go back to Japan someday.
We're going that direction. Sure, right? Seems like it.
Seems like it. Seems like, though, Australia is going to be somebody's destination.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the Rams are playing a home game there next year. And you know what's funny is I was telling a friend about this last night, and they just got back from Australia, and they asked where the game was. And I said, it's in Melbourne. Like Melbourne, like anyone here would say it. And she was making fun of me because I guess they say it Melbourne?
Melbourne.
Melbourne?
Melbourne. Not Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne.
We got that ball game over at Melbourne.
Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were the Japanese people hungry for football?
Oh, my gosh. And then my rookie year, we had Joe Montana.
Oh, man.
And it might have been the male version of Taylor Swift.
Just a rock star, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. The Japanese were everywhere looking at Joe Montana. Where's Joe Montana? Where's Joe Montana? Like sneaking around the hotel. And it was, phenomenal.
That's so cool.
But it was, we played the Tokyo Dome. It was really cool. And the Japanese love athletics. You see that in the Japanese Baseball League.
Sure.
But they love it. They get it. They appreciate it. So, tip of the cap to the folks in Japan. And one of these days, hopefully, go back there.
Well, and we're going to have probably a very similar experience in Brazil. This is the coolest. One of the coolest things about being the team that the Chiefs are right now, in addition to like Super Bowls and all the winning and everything, is we are the brand ambassador for football now in the world. I mean, how cool is that? That if you're in Brazil, you might know nothing about football, but if you know anything, you know who the Chiefs are, you know who Patrick Mahomes is. And we're going there, and we're bringing the product to them. And you and I get to go on these international vacations and just be along for the ride. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't term it as a vacation, but,
Not quite a vacation, but like,
not so much.
I don't know, we're going somewhere. We're going
somewhere.
6,000 miles away.
Well, and you talked about your experience in the South American continent and traveling all the countries with your dad and all the travails you had. But this is different because you're not crossing all these time zones. We're not going to Europe, or I went to Japan, and you're like crossing all these. You're only 2 hours difference.
Big time, yeah.
2 hours ahead, but it's an 11-hour flight. It's like the duration of a Japanese flight, but without the time change.
Straight
you're
south.
just going straight south. So to me, that's a different dynamic. So have we already gone around the world?
No,
because it kind of feels like we have.
We've kind of gone around the world. We haven't actually gone around the world. I'll be quick today. I've got 5 for you for Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
Who
let's go Hollywood.
Looks like he's healthy and going to play on Friday.
5 catches, 96 yards, and two tutties.
Ooh, okay. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Shout out to Trent in the Philippines, which is located in
the Northern Hemisphere.
The Northern Hemisphere.
We got that figured out.
Which is the opposite of where we're going. We are going to the Southern Hemisphere. Chuck has lived in Germany for the last 20 years, but is originally from Overland Park. And his family is from the Fort Scott area in southeast Kansas. You know that area well.
The Tigers.
Larry is listening from Selbyville, Delaware.
By the way, Jason Sudeikis, Ted Lasso, played JUCO basketball at Fort Scott.
Really?
Yeah, for the Greyhounds.
Was he pretty good?
I don't think so, but he was on the team.
He's on the team.
JUCO basketball is really good, though, by the way.
Now he's a great actor.
Yep.
We have a listener who's originally from St. Louis, but now living in Chongqing, China. They said you'd be surprised by all the Chiefs fans in China. Kind of cool. And like you were saying, at this rate, we'll be playing in Chongqing any minute now.
Yeah.
So anyway, shout out to you.
And the guy that's from Germany, did we narrow it down? Because it's like I'm from the U.S.
No. Chuck, let us know where in Germany you are. Let us know.
Hamburg.
Let us know. Home of is it the Sea Dragons?
Sea Dragons.
Sea Dragons, let's go. And then I mentioned Tom in Palmer, Arkansas last week. Turns out I messed that one up. It's actually Palmer, Alaska.
I was going to say.
I need to brush up on my postal codes.
Yeah. AR versus AK.
Yeah. This is what happens.
When you said it, I go, is that Palmer, Alaska? Maybe, I don't know.
It is. Yes,
Yeah.
your intuition was correct.
Yeah.
This is what happens when I do this 30 seconds before we go on the air. So anyway, Palmer, Alaska, one of the local high schools there is the Palmer Moose.
The Moose.
It's so good.
Plural.
Yeah.
But Moose.
Yeah, the Palmer Moose.
Yeah.
And then here's some trivia for you. So we established that Tom was a Troy Trojan. He was a Highland JUCO.
Scotty Dog.
Scotty, yep. And then a Benedictine.
Raven.
Yes, you nailed it. That's what I got for you today. Well done.
Palmer. Love it. The Moose.
Shout out to Tom.
Wonder who they play. And I want to know if he's a college fan of either the UAF Nanooks, the University of Alaska Fairbanks, or the University of Alaska Anchorage Seawolves.
Those are 2 great names.
Maybe Alaska Southeastern. I don't know their nickname. But
Okay. Probably something awesome.
It has to be. They're in the Panhandle, but up there at UAF, baby, the Nanooks. Let's go.
Let's go.
Big hockey and basketball.
Love it.
Okay, here we are, the beginning of this season against the Chargers. And we'll just kind of lay this matchup out. What has intrigued me in studying the Chargers, let me start this way, the AFC West. It has become the discussion, and let's be honest, I want to be humble about this, but the other three teams, and I get it, are sick of losing to the Chiefs. We were sick of losing to the Broncos and Peyton Manning and all that, but it's been 9 years. So a full decade is on the line here. What is really interesting is this collection of coaches that have found its way to the AFC West. If you look at it, 668 regular season wins from these four coaches.
Wow.
53 playoff wins. By the way, Coach has 301 of the 668.
Just almost
and
half.
he's got 28 of the 53 playoff wins. But that together of those wins and playoff wins, it is the greatest in NFL history for any division to start a season. That's what we've got. We've got these coaches and these teams colliding in this division to try to unseat the Chiefs.
Wow. And, of course, Pete Carroll, been to and won a Super Bowl. Sean Payton, been to and won a Super Bowl. And Jim Harbaugh, been to but not won a Super Bowl. But still very impressive.
Won a national championship at Michigan. So
Yeah, I mean, three of the most accomplished coaches in NFL history. And then Coach Reid, who I think is the greatest coach of all time. I know Bill Belichick has the rings and the wins, but the way Coach Reid has adapted over time, done it with multiple teams, done it with multiple quarterbacks, multiple schemes, won in different ways. I think Coach Reid's the greatest coach of all time, and we're so fortunate he's steering our ship. You know, with that in mind, opening the season against the Chargers is a little bit unique because this is the first time we've opened the season against a divisional opponent since 2018. Which was Patrick Mahomes' second ever start, and his first real start, like as the Chiefs starter, if you throw out the Broncos game in Week 17 the previous year. And it's funny looking back on that because we knew Patrick was good, and we knew we had a chance to be exciting and good in the future. I don't think any of us could have predicted him going 35-5 against the AFC West for his career so far.
And that 18 opener was against?
The Chargers.
Thank you.
The Chargers in L.A. I think that was at the soccer stadium.
It was.
Yeah.
Cal State Dominguez Hills.
But that 35-5, that's the highest winning percentage for a quarterback against their own division since the merger. I mean, that's just ridiculous. This is how you keep going to the playoffs and the Super Bowl and everything is you take care of business first against your division. And no team has been better about that over the last 9 years, and certainly in Patrick Mahomes' career, than the Chiefs. So if the Chiefs want to win 10 AFC West titles in a row, which is the first goal, we can't talk about the Super Bowl yet. It's about winning the AFC West first. That goal begins with beating the Chargers here in Week 1.
And everybody thinks the AFC West has been trash. It hasn't. That run includes two 12-4 teams, the 12-4 Raiders of 16, and then the 12-4 Chargers. And these teams have gone to the playoffs. Chargers have gone. They're struggling to win. They can't win one. But and the Broncos, their run ended with Super Bowl 50, but went to the playoffs last year. And the Raiders have had decent teams at times. So it's not like it's all the teams in the division have been 3-14 for these 9 years. That's one of the false narratives that keep, it's just a trash division. No, it's not. And, of course, with the Heritage Division going all the way back to the American Football League.
Well, look at last year, too. 2 playoff teams as wildcard teams out of the AFC West.
Yeah. 3 playoff teams of the 4 teams in the division. Stop it. All right. So here we are. But here's the Ravens. What I think is interesting about the Ravens is, the Chargers, is that I think Jim Harbaugh, who's very different than his brother John Harbaugh, and I've also met the father when he was coaching at Western Kentucky, but it feels like Jim wants to make the Chargers the Ravens of the AFC West. And we mentioned this last year, but even more so, if you study the Chargers and what they did this offseason with who they moved on from, who they gathered, who they got in free agency, and who they drafted, it is even more profound of this is a Charger team that Jim Harbaugh wanted to make more physical in both offense and defense. They're good in special teams. They got 3 good coordinators. Coach Reid talked about that. But this is a team that looks more and more like the Baltimore Ravens all the time.
It really does. And kind of like Harbaugh's Niners years ago in San Francisco. look at both sides of the ball here. He wants to play great defense, really sound, tough, physical defense. And the Chargers did that last year. They were the number one scoring defense in the NFL. They led the league in opponent red zone touchdown percentage. They ranked 5th on third down, and they allowed 20 or fewer points in 13 games, most of any team in the NFL. So he wants to play great defense. And then with Greg Roman, who's his offensive coordinator, who was his offensive coordinator in San Francisco with Colin Kaepernick in that offense, and then went to Baltimore and was Lamar Jackson's offensive coordinator early in his career, we're seeing the same kind of scheme. Even though Justin Herbert isn't necessarily that kind of quarterback where he's out there in space running around all the time, it's a similar scheme where Roman wants to run the football a ton and do it effectively and then use play action off of that. And we saw that with the Chargers last year where Herbert did a ton of play action and he was great at it. I mean, he had the highest completion percentage, the second most completions, and the second most passing yards off play action of any quarterback in the NFL last year. And look at his numbers. I mean, he didn't throw for like crazy touchdown numbers. I think it was, 23 touchdowns. 3 interceptions all year, fewest of any qualified passer. He wasn't making mistakes. They were running the ball, and Herbert was using play action with great success, often looking for Ladd McConkey.
Yeah, the playoffs was a different story. He had 4 interceptions against Houston in the playoffs.
In one game.
He had 3 all year long.
Crazy.
So back to your point, defensively, there were 12 times last year of the 17 games, they only allowed 7 points or less in the first halves. That's crazy. They set the tone. Now, the Chiefs had one of those. They had 13 in the game in December in the first half. But think of 12 of 17 games, a defense allowing 7 or less in the first 2 quarters of a game 12 times and against a pretty good slate of opponents. And your play-action passing is there as well. When you look at what they gathered in yards, and you alluded to it, but almost 1,600 yards off play action. And then they go get Najee Harris in the offseason, 4 straight 1,000-yard rushing years for the Steelers, and they draft Amarian Hampton, who, other than Ashton Jeanty, the most powerful running back in the draft. And you can just see they want to add more pieces that look like if they change their uniforms to purple and black, they would be the Raven Chargers.
Yeah, I think they have front office people that came from the Ravens. They think like the Ravens in a
lot
of ways.
We have so many Eagles guys. Mm-hmm. If you think of the old Eagles years, that's what these guys have with the Ravens. There's so many guys, including Greg Roman. But, yes, their front office is there's just a lot of Baltimore influence.
And they want to build this hard-nosed, tough football team. Now, one curveball they've been thrown that most everyone knows about at this point is they lost their left tackle in training camp, in Rashawn Slater. And that's a big, big deal because, I mean, the argument could be made they had the 2 best bookends in the NFL with Slater at the left side and then Joe Alt on the right side. Well, you lose Slater in training camp. We know all about this when you play musical chairs on your offensive line. Alt's now going to left tackle, and now Trey Pipkins, who has played before and started before but is a reserve on their offensive line, he's now their starting right tackle for the season. How does that change things for them? Because Herbert was fantastic last year in this system, but when he was under pressure, his numbers were much different. When he was kept clean last year, very difficult to beat. Threw 18 touchdowns, 0 picks, completed 71% of his passes. When he was pressured, only 5 touchdowns, all 3 of his interceptions, and his completion percentage dropped by 20 points. So in this game, and really all season for them, but looking at this game specifically, with no Rashawn Slater, how can the Chiefs take advantage of that defensively? If you can pressure Herbert, starts with stopping the run, which the Chiefs did a great job of last year. Chargers didn't run for 100 yards in either game against the Chiefs. Stop the run, create pressure on Herbert, kind of throws this entire offensive scheme out the window. And that's what happened to Herbert in that playoff game against the Texans. They were completely off schedule, off kilter, and the system didn't work. So hopefully we'll see what happens in this one. But stop the run and create pressure on Herbert. The whole thing they want to do doesn't work nearly as well.
Yeah, and they've even toyed with moving Zion Johnson to center. They're trying to kind of figure out the offensive line here. They have Ladd McConkey, who's an outstanding receiver, the former Georgia Bulldog. But on the other side, where the Chargers defensively were really good last year, 6th in sacks. But in the game in December at GHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium, they had 11 quarterback hits on Patrick Mahomes in the first half.
Man.
So a team that plays this physical, being the Raven Chargers, is they want to dictate terms. And you just talked about it for the Chiefs defensively, want to dictate terms. A clean pocket is also one-off play action. And the best way to have a clean pocket is to have a good play-action game.
Yep.
Because everybody's holding up. As far as pass rushers, I mean, you don't run by a running back to get to the quarterback and hope the quarterback still has the ball. You've got to make reads and trust your eyes and your keys. But protection obviously is big. Joey Bosa's no longer there. They still have Khalil Mack, but the guy is Tuli Tuipulotu, who is emerging.
Yeah.
And then Derwin James is an elite safety, maybe the best in the league. But to hit Mahomes 11 times is career high. Pat took shot after shot in that game, even though the Chiefs had 13 points in the first half. The Chargers were trying to impose their will. And to me, that is the first big thing of this game, is who will dictate terms in the first 5 to 7 game minutes of the season.
Was that the DJ Humphries game?
It was.
Okay, so trying to figure out their left tackle situation, DJ Humphries made his first and only start with the Chiefs. Didn't work out so well. It's a great first test for Josh Simmons and for Kingsley Suamataia at left guard. We feel really good about this offensive line. We think this might be one of the better offensive lines we had in a while. And Simmons was excellent throughout the entire offseason training program, excellent in the preseason. But this is a big test. You're facing some elite edge rushers in Khalil Mack and Tuli Tuipulotu. And a player that I think is a pretty good young player, and I know that Chargers people are very excited about, and Deion Henley at linebacker, really good young player. They're talented on defense. How does Josh hold up in this game? And, you know, if he can go out there and really hold his own, it's going to put the league on notice, which I'm fired up about. I think he has all the talent in the world. He's 22 years old, so I think he deserves the benefit of he's young, and it's going to be an experience with him. But I think the talent is there where we have a very young player who can help us for a long time, and this is a great opportunity to go out there against a very good defensive line and begin his career on a high note.
Special teams are also gigantic in this game. The Chargers love their special teams, and they're good at it. J.K. Scott's a good punter. Cameron Dicker, the kicker, is now the most accurate field goal kicker in NFL history, with Justin Tucker fading down. But Harrison Butker's not far behind. Darius Davis, arguably, you take a 2-year compilation, he is the best punt returner in the National Football League. And with the new dynamic kickoff tweaking of the rule, special teams, both of these teams take great pride in it and feel like they can twist or turn a game or tilt a game in their favor because of special teams. I'm really excited about the Chiefs' special teams. I think athletically, this might be, if not the best, one of Dave Toeb's most athletic teams in coverage and return potential. And it's not just the guys that'll have the ball. It's the Jeffrey Bosses, the Cooper McDonalds, so the guys that are new. And I'll give you another one who I'm so excited about, and all of you to watch and listen for, is Ashton Gelati, a guy this powerful and this agile who's on special teams. And when you get that big a guy on special teams, all of a sudden now you have, instead of a linebacker making a block, you have a defensive end, and you can spring a play. Like, I didn't know that dude was that fast and that powerful that can get here in a hurry. So I'm excited about the Chiefs' special teams, but the Chargers are also excited about theirs.
Yeah, and they should be. They have good players on their special teams unit. I was thinking about Coach Toeb, though. He had a media session not too long ago, and he was asked, like, who's really popped on special teams, and he immediately just goes, Gelati for sure. And then, you know, we talked about Gelati. We moved on. A couple minutes passed. He was asked about a different player. And then he found a way to go back to Gelati. He's like, anyway, Gelati. It's just hilarious. So Gelati's going to help us both on defense and special teams for sure, but especially in these week 1 games where there's nothing on film. Coach Toeb hasn't put anything on tape that we might do. And this is an opportunity where it's week 1 against a divisional opponent, kind of some unique circumstances playing so far from home, and also, of course, in a primetime slot. Maybe stuff gets weird, and maybe something crazy happens, and we'll see what Coach Toeb decides to do. But how do you get an edge on a team like the Chargers that we know is going to be competitive? We know they want to play great defense. They're probably not going to turn the ball over a whole lot. How do you get an edge on a team like that? It's on special teams. And curious to see what we do. Harrison Butker obviously has some big moments against these guys over the years. We'll see if he has some more as well.
And where will the explosive plays come from? That is key here. Look at Houston. Houston had some explosive plays. The biggest in the playoffs was the fumbled snap that looked like it was going to be a disaster. Chargers are winning that game, and then C.J. Stroud turns it into an explosive play. Sometimes explosive plays are jet chip wasp, Matt. There are others when you have a team that has a propensity or the ability to take what would be designed as a 10 or 12-yard gain or even a 6-yard gain, and it becomes a 72-yard touchdown. That's where the Chiefs, I think, are much better than a year ago, is they have that opportunity, not just in design plays, but it's the undesigned play that becomes a big play. And to do that in all three phases, to be explosive, there was only one scoop and score last year. There hasn't been a pick six in a while. There has only been the last kick returns for touchdowns were in 2020. And then offensively, everybody talks about attacking the deep third. You don't have to necessarily chuck it down there to get there. You can maybe throw an intermediate play where a guy's really fast and runs away from the defenders. I think the Chiefs have a chance to be more explosive in all three phases, and it'd be nice to start in this game.
And it's ironic because everything you're talking about is what we kind of used to be known for. It was the off-schedule explosive plays that would just break the opponent's spirit. Well, because of how teams started to play us in 2021, that kind of thing stopped, and we started just kind of maneuvering our way down the field. We got really good at that, won a couple Super Bowls doing that, and 3 straight AFC titles. But the mantra all offseason has been we have to get back to the explosive plays. And whether that is something that's drawn up where you're chucking it down the field, or it's a creative screen, or it is a off-schedule throw that ends up being an explosive play, we've got to get back to that. That has been the mindset all offseason long. The Chiefs were 27th in the NFL on plays of 20 or more yards last year. That is not Chiefs football, and we have to get back to what we used to do. And I think that's the mindset going into this game and really throughout this season. And some food for thought here. As good as the Chargers defense was last year, and they were really good, they were top 5 in so many categories, they allowed the 12th most plays of 20 or more yards in the NFL. Defenses are different from year to year. I get it's not the same cast of characters necessarily, but as good as that scheme was last year, they did give up their fair share of explosive plays, and I would love nothing more than for the Chiefs to put everyone on notice and to kind of make a statement offensively in this game with some big plays on Friday.
And explosive runs, where were they? Last year, the Chiefs only had 3 of 30 to 39, and 2 of those were Mahomes scrambles. Only 4 of 20 to 29, and 2 of those were worthy end arounds or jet sweeps. Another one was a McCole Hardman jet sweep. So maybe you get some explosive runs as well. What was the beginning again in Portuguese? I hope you wrote it down because I've already forgotten it.
Okay, so hold on.
You got it?
Começo?
Começo.
Miriam's nodding her head. Okay. Começo.
Miriam is our South American consultant.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only does she is shooting this, she's our consultant. She's lived in most of the South American countries. So, Começo.
She's actually never been to Argentina, but she is Argentinian, so
okay.
It counts. Começo.
If I say I'm a Chilean, but I haven't been to Chile, does that count?
Well, it's just like before you went to Germany. You have German heritage, but you haven't been there. But maybe you have a connection to it, you know?
Oh, wow. Começo.
Começo.
Let's start this season.
Here we go.
Right here.